It's your girl Teresa. If you are watching me on YouTube, it is hello. If you're not, you are listening in, you can actually watch me on the Cinco Vids YouTube channel. But for now, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I wasn't with you last week because I was actually out of town on business in Texas. I'm back, and I haven't really got my sleep habits good because first time went, fell backwards, and then being in Dallas is an hour behind. So I'm still confused as when I'm supposed to go to sleep. So welcome to my world, but I'll catch up eventually. But tonight's podcast is, of course, you guys know I love Steven Speaks. It's in regards to Steven Speaks, one that he has that talks about the 9 signs you're dating a narcissist. So sit back, listen. You know I'm going to give my feedback about it, but let me go ahead and start it. So here we go.
Mad at you for wanting the same things they ask for. I just avoid people who get mad at you for wanting the same things they ask for. I just read that quote online. I paraphrased it a little bit, but we're talking about narcissists, all right? Now listen, a narcissist is one of the worst people to end up in a relationship with or to have to realize you're even dating one. But the reality is that you have to become aware of the signs. And I know narcissism is a hot topic, one that I kind of avoided for a long time. But we're going to dive into it. So listen, sign number 1 that you're dating a narcissist is all they do is talk about themselves. Now listen, at the core of narcissism is someone who is very self-centered, someone who thinks the world revolves around them. And this individual cannot help talk about themselves all day long, all right? And so they'll go on these rants and just talking about them, and they also brag a lot, about what they've done, what they're accomplished. They're always holding themselves in this very high regard. But it doesn't stop there with the narcissist. The narcissist will also find ways to make the conversation about them, meaning you could start talking about something that you went through, you're going through that day. And somehow, some way, they're going to interject themselves like, yeah, I know when that happened to me.
Hate that.
It's like, yo, we haven't even addressed what's going on with you. We're not really paying attention here. He's just, or she, he or she, because narcissists can be male or female, all right? That individual just turns it around and makes it about them. Now, listen, I think we can all acknowledge that we've probably all done that at some point in our lives. There's been a time where we were listening to someone tell a story, and maybe because we related to it so much, or we wanted to show them we understand, whatever, or we just want to share this moment, we may interject ourselves and kind of give our story of what happened to us with that same situation. That's not a problem. It's a problem when it's constantly happening. And with the narcissist, it's constantly happening. So you've got to really pay attention to that. If this individual is always about them, that's a sign they are a narcissist, all right? A second sign you are dating a narcissist, or maybe even in a relationship with a narcissist, is that they constantly look down on other people, all right? So again, narcissism, it causes these individuals to want to put themselves on a higher pedestal, want to feel like they're better than others, all right? And in doing that, those individuals feel the need to knock other people down or feel the need to look down on other people. They can be very...
Okay, so I'm going to put my 2 cents worth on this. So the first part, where he talks about it's always about them, really is what it says. I don't know, but if you've ever been around somebody like that, my first thoughts is I want to say, just shut the fuck up. Because I don't want to hear about everything that you've done. In all honesty, let's talk about what the conversation is right now. And, again, great achievements if you want to talk about all the things you've achieved. Great job with that. But at the moment, that's not what we're talking about. So I only, not only has that been in relationship situations, but also I have friends like that, and I'll be like, God, why is everything always about what you got going on? Let's not talk about what you got going on today. Let's talk about what the situation is, like the UVA. The dude shot up people in UVA. Let's talk about that. Not talk about, well, this what's going on with me now. Again, shut the fuck up. Let's do what we came here to talk about. So I can't stand to be around people like that, because then I'm the one that sits here like this and I'm like, I really don't want to hear what you got to say. So that's one of the things. So let's get on with the second one that he's talking about.
Some can come across very bougie, all right? Some can come across very arrogant in the way that they view others, all right? Some of these people will have that holier than thou mentality or attitude towards others, okay? It's almost like they can do no wrong, but everybody else is crap. And so you start to notice this, and it's important that you don't just focus on if they're projecting that onto you, but that you also focus on, are they projecting that onto other individuals? Because one of the common occurrences with some narcissists, and this is something that we'll talk about in a different video, is the concept of love bombing. And essentially, in the early stages of dating them, they're trying to make it all about you. They're trying to pour out all this love. They're bum rushing you with all this admiration and love, right? But it's to gain your affection and turn the tables on you later. And so early on, you may not notice them doing it to you as far as looking down on you and things of that nature. But it's very unlikely that they'll hide that attitude when it comes to other people. And that's why it's very important, not just in the case of trying to sniff out a narcissist, but just evaluating an individual that you're dating is seeing how they treat other people, because that tells you a lot. Again, when we're dating, many people want to bring their representative. And individuals, narcissists or not, want to try to put on a show, want to put their best foot forward, all right? And so in that, they may hide some of those issues. And again, specifically when they're dealing with you directly, in regards to how they speak to you, so on and so forth. But those people show it in other ways. So you got to pay attention to all of that, because again, the narcissist is just very, very condescending, all right? And if someone is very condescending, and here's the thing.
How many of you have a spare bedroom? Just a bedroom that's sitting
Gotta
empty.
love these
All of
ads.
you should be taking that spare bedroom and
Whether this person is truly a narcissist, all right, clinically defined as a narcissist or not, these are still unhealthy traits. These are still red flags, all right? So sometimes we have to make sure that we don't get so caught up in trying to make them fit the label specifically, but more so, is this a trait, a behavioral pattern in them that can actually contribute to a healthy relationship or destroy one? And the reality is that if you're dealing with a condescending person, if you're dealing with someone who thinks they're always better than other people, that's gonna cause a problem. Even if initially you can tolerate it, you're gonna get worn down by that. Many of you watching this right now have dealt with this. You may have thought it was no big deal. You may have even laughed it off initially. But at some point, that negativity starts to really wear you out and starts to weigh on you. And it starts to just create all kinds of other issues in the relationship. So essentially, yes, they will look down on others, be very condescending, and you got to pay attention to how they are with other people, not just with you. No?
Okay, so my take on that one is I have found myself to be condescending sometimes, but I try to catch myself on that. Not that I'm better than anybody, and everybody knows I don't act like that. I don't try to be any better than anybody else. But one thing that I will not tolerate is someone who treats me like they're better than me, or like they're fake around me but not around other people, and I don't like that. So that's one of the biggest things about me, that I can't stand is don't do that. You put your pants on just like I put my pants on. I don't care if you're the president of the United States. We both put our pants on together at the same, the same way. So I'm no better than you. You know better than me. That's how I see it. So I'm not gonna date somebody who looks down at other people. Like, no, no. If you're looking down at that person, you're going to eventually try to look down at me if I do something different. So I always keep an eye on that. But that's just my take on that. So
But
next one.
three, the third sign that you are dating a narcissist is that they are quick to gaslight you. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with the term gaslight, it's essentially when people or someone tries to make you doubt your own reality, make you think that you're crazy, that you're tripping, that you don't know what the hell you're talking about, okay? And so the narcissist is very skilled and very potent in this area of gaslighting, of trying to make it seem like you're just making stuff up in your head. This isn't what it is. And the thing is, I am in no way defending this behavior when I say I think a lot of people, again, who may not be quote unquote narcissists, may have engaged in that behavior before of being very dismissive of someone and making them feel like they're the ones that's just crazy in their head, right? And it wasn't with blatant malicious intent. However, I think what's important, and that's why we have to always consider multiple signs, not just one sign and jump off the ledge like or run away from this person like, nah, this ain't gonna work. And remember my rule. My rule is you always address things because sometimes there are misunderstandings. Sometimes there are bad habits that may have been developed in other relationships that people are carrying into new ones. And so if you address them and they're willing to correct it, then we don't need to throw them in the narcissist bin and just say, no, I'm not going to deal with them. They're clearly willing to take responsibility and acknowledge the issue. However, going back to this gaslighting, one of the key things you're going to see with the narcissist is not only are they being dismissive and not considering how you feel and trying to understand you, again, it's the energy and attitude behind it. It's very negative. It's very looking down on you. It's very judgmental. All right. It's not just I don't understand what you're saying. You know, it's not just a disconnect. It's this attempt to manipulate you into forgetting and letting go of your beliefs and accepting how they want you to see something. All right. And that, again, is extremely unhealthy, extremely problematic. And you got to catch yourself because I've seen so many people, women and men, dealing with this behavior, all right, and really fall into the trap. Now, here's a key to this. If you go into a conversation with somebody and you're trying to discuss how you feel about something, all right, and you notice they're again turning these tables on you, calling you crazy, whatever. But by the end of this conversation, you realize your point was never accepted or you were never even allowed to fully express yourself and this person to listen to you. This is a clear sign. This is a very unhealthy relationship. Again, narcissists or not, this is a problem. And you got to realize that someone who's trying to have a healthy relationship with you is willing to hear you out. They may not always understand you. I think we have to realize, yes, there is going to be disconnects sometimes. And sometimes because of our upbringings and what we've experienced, we will see things differently. But we cannot get into dismissing each other. And again, not calling our partners crazy. that is something that we really have to avoid. I'm laughing, but it's like it's a real issue. Mm-hmm. You should not make people question their own sanity, all right? Sometimes people are quick to use the word crazy because they don't understand you, they don't want to understand you. But that's not fair to anybody. No one's crazy. We just have difference of perspectives, and there can be various other reasons why or what's contributing to the disconnect at that moment. But either way, the narcissist is a professional gaslighter, all right? And you have to be aware of that so that you understand what kind of person you're dealing with. All right.
Okay, so I don't know how many of y'all have dealt with people like that. I have. And I'll be talking to that person and telling them how I feel. And then it's like nothing that I said went here. It went in here and out of here, but it didn't go in here. And that frustrates me more than anything. So the next time that I want to talk about something or I feel a certain way, I don't feel comfortable talking to that person anymore. So there goes our communication because I'm going to shut down. Because I'm like, there's no need for me to say anything because they're not paying no attention to me anyway. So why should I say anything? So that's when I shut down. And that's what can cause a bad relationship. So these are very good red flags for us to look for in case we're looking for another relationship. So watch out for that. All right, let's go to the next fourth one and then we'll do the rest next week. So here's the fourth sign.
Let's keep this moving, and now we're at number 4. The narcissist is emotionally detached. Now, again, this is where it can get tricky, going back to the reference of love bombing. All right? So, if you're dealing with a narcissist who's coming in hot and he's trying, or he or she, I keep saying he, forgive me when I keep saying he first, because it's he or she. Narcissists are men and women. I want to make that clear, okay? When this individual is coming in hot and they're trying to hit you with all this admiration, love, affection, whatever.
Monique hated the way clothes fit due to her muffin top and back bra roll, so she went to Sonobello.
This will now be processed to you as, well, there's no emotional detachment here. They're clearly all in. But this is where, again, you have to start paying attention to the other relationships in their life. Because the narcissist, again, what you're going to see is a pattern of emotional detachment in other areas. I, for example, know I had one client, she was married to a narcissist, okay? And when I evaluated her husband's relationships, I started to notice that the man was very detached from his kids emotionally. He may have been present for the children, right? But emotionally, there was a disconnect there. There was emotional disconnects with siblings of his. There was a level of emotional disconnect with his own parents. Like, it was a continuous pattern of he was very self-absorbed, very about him. He was following a lot of these other behavioral patterns, right? But again, you saw this detachment in other aspects of his life. So though some may think, well, as long as he or she is giving me what I need in this relationship, who the hell cares about their emotional detachment elsewhere, right? But don't think like that. Because you have to ask yourself, why? Why? If this person is so capable of at the least appearing to be emotionally invested with me, what is the detachment going on in other areas? And even if we can argue that the detachment is not narcissist related, that it's due to unhealthy relationships with those other individuals, all right? Broken relationships in other areas of their life. I would still then argue it still would be best to address it and understand what's going on, and hopefully that individual at least attempt to resolve it. Because then there's a very good chance that those issues creep into your relationship with that individual. And so, for example, it can be a sign of they don't know how to resolve issues. They just withdraw. All right? When something goes wrong, they don't engage, they don't talk, they don't try to work it out. They just cut people off and move on. Well, guess what? If they do that with other individuals, they may not have done that with you yet because y'all haven't hit that roadblock, that mountain. But once it happens, you're going to be dealing with someone who now does not know or is not willing to properly communicate. So it is indeed a warning sign that at least needs to be addressed and can't be dismissed as, oh, well, I'm getting what I need, so I'm good for now. Yeah, you're good for now, but you ain't going to be good for long. So you've got to pay attention to the emotional detachment in that individual's lives, because that can be a sign that you are dealing with a narcissist. Now, real quick,
All right, so with that situation, think about it. I think a lot of times when situations occur with a lot of us, people do you wrong or people say things wrong and we cut them off. But in all honesty, I know for myself, I try to give people chances. I really do. And if you've cut your, what is it? You cut my leg down 2 or 3 times. Why am I going to continue to give that person energy that doesn't deserve it? They don't give me the same energy. So I'm going to cut you off. And yeah, I have some people who I should have cut off a long time ago, but I'm still hanging on because I guess I have an emotional attachment that I don't want to cut them off. But you know, you can only take so much, and then you have to say, I gotta do what I gotta do. And that's not really being a narcissist from that perspective. I think you really have to look at, did that person give those other people options or chances and things before they just decide to cut them off? Now, yeah, if you have someone who says, um, okay, I don't talk to them anymore, and then when you say, why you don't talk to them no more? Well, they just, we had words and that was the end of it. So y'all ain't try to talk it out. Y'all didn't try to work it out. How long were y'all friends? You get into details more to find out really what the story is behind it, especially if it's somebody you want to be in a relationship with. Because again, if they don't have that mentality to communicate and try to work out something with a friend, then how they gonna work things out with you if they don't want to communicate? Or you say something wrong and they gonna say, I'm done, bye. I don't want to talk to you no more. Okay, that's how much I meant to you. And so that's a that's a sad thing. But for me, I'm not going to kiss anybody's ass that says they gonna cut me off. Okay, if that's what you want to do, peace. I'm fine. I can do without it. So that's what a lot of people need to understand is, in order to determine if someone has an emotional detachment, you've got to get deep into what really happened. And if that person wants to discuss it with you, then that might be a problem because you're trying to get to understand them from an emotional intelligence perspective. And if they don't want to communicate with you about what's going on there, then they may not want to communicate with you when there's issues going on in in y'all's relationship. So that's just gonna mean that he gonna cut you off or she gonna cut you off, and you be like, "What the hell just happened? All I said was this, and he cut me off." You know, so it really gets down into that point to where you just say, "I'm done. I can't take this anymore." And that doesn't mean that you're a narcissist. It just means that you're dealing with a narcissist who doesn't want to communicate, who doesn't know how to communicate, and you're trying your best to build with them and they don't want it. So I think that's a good sign, really, is to really think about listening to how they interact with other people. Do they look down on people? Do they think they're better than other people? Is it always all about them all the time? I can't stand to be around people like that. Um, but that's somebody I can see cutting off because I'd be like, I can't be around that person because every time I do something, they looking down on me or they think that they better than me. Mm-mm. And then I end up, as I always tell people, the other side of Teresa comes out, and that's when Teresa says, I'm going in. I'm going in. So that's when they have to deal with my attitude and my demeanor. So, narcissists, we got to watch out for these people. And it's not that we cut them off, it's just really we explain to them what we're seeing. And if it's a person who really wants to grow in their own mentality in their own life, they're gonna be open to trying to change. But we'll, don't try to change someone who's not ready to change. That's the main thing. You've got to sit down and say, I'm noticing this, and that signs of being a narcissist. And I'm just gonna give you my opinion. Take it, leave it. I understand, but I can't be around someone who's a narcissist. I want to be around somebody who's not a narcissist. So that's my take on tonight. Didn't keep y'all long, 25, 30 minutes, which isn't long. So we have 5 more signs, excuse me, to listen to next week, which is Thanksgiving week. So, if you notice, I have not said anything about my love wings because I stopped selling it. But I will be selling the rest of my products. I'm going to put them in packages, so I'm going to sell them as Christmas gifts. So they will be sold at a lower price than what Love Wings will sell them for. So be ready for that. I just haven't done it yet. I still have, if you're here in the Orlando area, we're having a vendor event, which is Black Friday weekend. If you're interested, hit me up and I'll let you know where it's at and how much it costs to be in it. And again, if you're going to be in Orlando area and New Year's, we're having a masquerade gala. Looking forward to that. So come on out, meet your girl Teresa, and whoever else decides to come out. So I thank you for tuning in tonight. And if you have any feedback, comments, whatever, you can send it to me at teresardraper@gmail.com. And thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful night and blessed, blessed, blessed night.